Okay. Hi. Name's Kale. Uh, went to a cup yesterday. First time cup report. Um, felt pretty good. Let's talk about the list. So I went with Reggie Drago. It's just the best deck in the format. Um, beats everything except for like Maridon, and that's close. And Raging Bolt, but that like requires a lot of skill from the Raging Bolt player. Um, so I just thought it was a safe play. It was either this Goldengo or Secret Box Charizard. Goldengo, Goldengo just loses to too much anyways, and with the prevalence of like Toad Scroll and Thorn Pult decks, I just couldn't do it. Um, and I didn't get enough playtesting with Secret Box Charizard in the week leading up to this cup, so I just wasn't comfortable. Been playing Reggie Drago since freaking Twilight Masquerade came out, and so figured that this was the best play, and it was because it got second. Spoiler alert. Um, let's talk some deck decisions. So I decided to go with Milo's list from LAIC, which has the 4 Ogerpon, the 2 Superior Night Stretcher, uh, no Radzard, and Haxorus. Um, and if you were pleased to refer to the graph, this is a graph this is a little chart that I made of all the techs in Reggie Drago and how effective they are in each matchup. Um, red, with the legend being at the top of the page, red being irrelevant. Like, if you're bringing in Haxorus into Charizard, like, why do you care? Like, the only way that interaction works out is if you like get to kill their Fez or something. But that rarely comes up. So stuff like that. Like Haxorus is not that good in the Guardy, not that good into Zard. Killing a Lugia is fine. So that's why it's yellow. Like, yellow is kind of situational. Like, sometimes you'll be happy to have it, but some things can just be played around. And orange is not very effective or like very situational. Um, like Noivern can be good in Lugia. Like, you can Sinnoh lock them, and that's kind of good sometimes. But you just want to get your value when you put that Sinnoh down, and you're not putting the Sinnoh down until you get value out of it. So keeping it around for an additional turn very rarely does anything. Um, and then G's like a green spot is like, holy shit! Thank fucking God I brought this card. Gudra in the mirror, broken. Gudra and Pult, broken. Gudra and everything else, not that big a deal. I don't have Lost Box on the list. I'm just now noticing. Oh, that gets very funny later. That gets very funny. But yeah, so when referring to this chart, um, just like, I have some weird shit in here, like Lost City. Lost City's broken, by the way. If your entire room is just like Zards, Gardevoirs, um, Zards and Gardevoirs, that's the most one. That's the biggest deal. Yeah. If you're playing against Zards and Gardevoirs, like, bring Lost City. Like, just bring it, because, or even Lost Box 2. Zard, Guardian, Lost Box, bring Lost City. Because if you, like, Rolling Iron their mana fee, and it gets Lost Zoned, like, they're just cooked for the rest of the game. Like, at any point that you want, you can just take a 3-prize turn, and that's pretty broken. For Gardevoir specifically, you know, I'm talking too much about the specific matchups, but I was looking at this chart, and I was like, okay, what am I scared of? Who am I going to play against at this cup? What are people playing right now? And if I know that the good players were going to kind of migrate over to Regidrago. I knew that the top tables were going to be Regidrago. So Bundle was non-negotiable. Like, Bundle was going in the deck. 100%. And I was scared of Miraidon. I know there's a couple of Miraidons in the area. So that's why I put in a Lost Vacuum. It's not on the chart right now. But if it would be on the chart, it would be red everywhere except for, like, yellow and Cloth and green and Miraidon. Because then you can go... Lost Vacuum is the only way that you can secure a double Kyurem play. Because if you play Jamming Tower, they'll just discard the Kyurem to bench Pokemon. Yeah. And yeah. So you would have to, like, Jamming Tower twice, and I just don't want to fucking do that. I just want to Lost Vacuum the one Bravery Charm away. And let them just keep their big ass board and just cure them twice and just win. Also looking at the deck, some notes from Milo's list is he doesn't play Radzard. And that's something I think Regidrago players have to acknowledge, is that Radzard is not mandatory in the list. Radzard is not a key part of the deck. It is a tech option. You load up Teal Mask Ogrepons so quickly that they are your, like, in a pinch attackers. They are that guy. And you should be Rolling Iron more often than not. So Regidrago, your Regidrago V-Star should be getting, your first Regidrago V-Star should be getting 2 attacks off before it dies, and then you use your second Regidrago V-Star to kind of lock up the game. And then you use Teal Mask Ogrepon either in the beginning to take 1 prize or at the end to take another prize, you know, depending on the matchup. But just keeping 2 Regidrago V-Stars alive should be enough. Either you are pressing your opponent's board state enough to where they have to focus on rebuilding and can't really take out your Regidrago, or you ensure its presence with the Goodra, because a double Gust is just too much to ask for. Most of the time. Enough of the time to bet on it. But yeah, so I went with Bundle, Lost Vacuum as, like, my 2 main tech options. I took out the 4th Ogrepon to fit that Lost Vacuum. And I took out the Jamming Tower to fit the Bundle. And a lot of people are on Executor right now. And putting more thought into it, I am actually going to live update this to green in the mirror, because just, especially if you have Bundle, because if they push Cleffa, have 2 Ogrepon and, like, a Regidrago on bench, then you get to just go, okay, you bundle it, you bundle the Cleffa out, and then you Executor. The only way that this matters, or the only reason, like, you would prefer a different attacker, like, that's the thing I'm kind of iffy about with Executor, because it's great to have in the discard power by itself, but if you have Goodra, you always want to, like, you just want to Goodra the Ogrepon. You want to Rolling Iron the Ogrepon, or you want to Rolling Iron the Squawk. And so it's like, I would rather, because if you just go Egg and you knock out the Ogrepon or the Squawk and you don't knock out the Drago, well, they just push Drago and then Lost Impact you, and then now you're behind. Now you have to build up another Drago. But if you just Rolling Iron whatever it is that they push, then you could just kill it later. So, I don't know. I'm kind of sketch on Egg. Egg seems good in Dawn and Bolt, obviously. But what I was betting on was I would either take a loss into one of the Miraidons or one of the Raging Bolts in the room and just dodge Goldengo. And that's why Radzard's not here. Because with the Rolling Iron and with the Iron Bundle, the double Iron package. With the double Iron package, like, I should just win every mirror I play. if I get to play, if I get to set up. Which ended up being the case, which is fantastic. Other potential, like in retrospect, I would have put in a second canceling clone instead of the Lost Vacuum, 100%. There was just a lot of thorns out there. There was a lot of thorns pults. And I played against Lost Box. Another spoiler alert. I played 4 games against Lost Box yesterday. And being able to just like not have to V-Star for my second canceling clone usage would have been really nice. It would have been very cool. But that's already like a +2 60-40 or whatever matchup. So that's not the biggest deal in the world. And I don't think this deck doesn't do too bad against control either. So I was just like, the one canceling clone's enough for control. Lost vacuuming like a Defiance Vest or something is like fine enough as it is. And yeah, something else that's important. The third Iono. That's also another tech option. What I've found personally through personal experience, this might just be like skill issue. But I found third Iono better than fourth Ogerpon, because you usually just want 2 Ogerpon on the board anyways, and getting third is kind of a luxury. But the odds of increasing an Iono in your starting hand, so you can kind of preserve your other resources, because researching away energy switches in the early game sucks, and to do that for just 1 additional card is not the best. And Ionoing away your opponent's like instant charge or grasping drawed hand, that's also very nice. Obviously, Ionoing Lost Box decks is very nice. And this deck is oriented around the iron package, where you're using rolling irons, you're not taking prize cards, you're setting up multi-prize turns. So Ioning your opponent down for being super aggressive, and then like rolling iron their Fez while it's in the active or something like that. It's a very good strategy, and I find that it just has a lot of synergy, and it's usually what I want to do. Other notes is the superior energy retrieval and the Night Stretcher that Milo used in LAIC. I love this combo a lot because I'm not playing that many like creature techs, because I'm not playing Radzard, because I'm not playing Fez, because my only like real creature tech is Iron Bundle. I could just bench it and just discard it when I want to use it, or discard it if I need space, and that never really messes up the prize trade. And my opponents are just gonna play Cleffa anyways. So it's like, and if they do play Cleffa, I just bundle it away. If they don't play Cleffa and they attack with Regidrago at some point with like Rolling Iron, then I just bundle the Drago away and then boss it back up and then Lost Impact, and it's great. So the one Night Stretcher is just to like get a Regidrago V-Star if I have to discard one early or get my bundle back. Because every other Pokemon in my deck is getting benched or discarded at any point in the game. Which I think is a very good bonus of this deck, because too many games where you have to bench Radzard too soon in the game, or you have to bench Fez too soon in the game, or you have to start them, it just sucks. And that robs you of, I don't know the math, but like 5% of total games are just robbed because you had the wrong start and you couldn't draw switch in time and blah, 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 blah. What else? And Superior also facilitates a very good thinning strategy, because for when you're super rodding, if you super rod energies back into the deck, you need to grab Earthen Vessels. You need to keep Earthen Vessels around so you can get those energies back out of the deck. But you don't need to do that with Retrieval. If you open 4 Earthen Vessels in your hand, you can just use all 4 of them, get all of your energies out of your deck, and just Teal Dance away, manual attach, and then just discard the rest of those energies, and then just draw them later get them back later with Superior. It facilitates better draws throughout the game, because now you're just odds are just of just increasing. You're increasing your odds of just drawing energy switches, about drawing your supporters, getting your bosses, getting your canceling clones. Um, just because your energies are out of your deck. And this also facilitates the 2 fires. 2 fires is crazy because you could just get it out early game, and if you can't manual attach it, just discard it. Just get it out of there, so you won't have to search for it again. You just have to draw into your superior energy retrievals. Last note about them is that they're extra discard fodder, which is fantastic. As many ways to discard your Curums, your dragons in general, without having to research, and you can play Iono the same turn or something like that, all the better. And superiors are obviously like draw +2. They're like discard 2 cards, draw 2 cards, and put 2 energies on board because of Teal Mask. But let's go into the actual tournament report. First match was against a guy, his name was Boolin, I think. He was playing Charizard. I win the dice roll. I choose to go first. I have a standard turn 1 setup where it's Regidrago active, Ogerpon Squawk. And I think I get a turn 1 energy switch and manual attach. And then he gets a standard board setup of like 1 Pidgey, 1 Charmander, a Rotom. And I do something a little crazy. I don't know if this was a mistake, but it made sense in my head. So on my turn 2, I couldn't get a second Regidrago V down. So I decided to prime catcher up the Charmander and kill the Pidgey instead of just knocking out the Rotom and killing the Pidgey, because I was scared of the Defiance Band on a Charizard EX, because that would have knocked out my Regidrago V-Star at that point, and I didn't have a Regidrago V-Star, or yeah, I wouldn't have a second Regidrago V-Star going next turn. And it also makes it easier to build up a Radzard, because if I take 3 prizes, he only needs 2 energies on the Radzard, and then with a Defiance Band to knock out my V-Star. And it would have taken me, let's see, but 2 energies on Radzard allows an Ogerpon to kill, which puts me back down to 2, and then he kills with Zard, and then I kill that. So maybe it would have been fine. Maybe I shouldn't have played that, but I don't know. And then after my take, so I take those 2, he retaliates with a Charizard and an Ogerpon, and then I prime catcher up his Rotom. Or I kill his Charizard with an Ogerpon. I don't remember which. But after I get my 3rd and 4th prizes, he just scoops. Frank was my opponent. Round 2, he was playing Iron Thorns and Dragapult. I don't think I'm scared of this deck as Regidrago. And because of that, I really don't know what's the point of the deck. I just know that, like, there needs to be a Toad School printed with 70 HP, otherwise the deck just can't exist. Because I'll just Phantom Dive it. Like, I'm just gonna Phantom Dive the Toad School before it evolves, and then I'll like. I do remember in this game that I killed his Radiant Alakazam early because he benched it like turn 2. He didn't get a single use off of it, I don't think. And then I killed his Toad School. And then when I took my 3rd and 4th prizes, I'm pretty sure he scooped as well. Executor is very good in this matchup, I will admit, because being able to just go 2 on Polt, or 2 on Thorns, 2 on Thorns. But like, once they get Dragapults going, it seems pretty bad. And Radzard sucks, because you have to canceling clone to even attack with Radzard. Yeah, I feel like I just had the better deck. And then round 3, I had to play Carlos in the Regidrago mirror. He was playing the standard Brett Tonneson list or something. Maybe one of the other guys that was playing the Terra Orb Executor build. I prized 2 of my 3 Ogerpons, and I had this choice in my starting hand where I could either Ultra Ball for a Squawk or for my 3rd Ogerpon. And like the obvious choice is to take the Squawk, and that's what I did because I just hope and pray I draw into my third Ogre Pawn or an out to it. But I I just couldn't do it. I just didn't get it. And so he was able to just like take 2 prizes on his next turn. I push bundle and like have to take a turn off again. Um, and then he just takes more prizes. And I'm just like, okay, it's whatever. It was game over. Um, but that was rough. I don't think, and that was like the one game all of Swiss that I just didn't get to play, and it's just due to bad pricing, bad luck, I think. So I don't think it was that big of a deal. They just happened. And then round 4, I go against my buddy Nathan. Shout out to Nathan. He wins a dice. He wins a die roll. He chooses second, which is correct. I have to start Curum, which isn't too bad in the mirror because just because it's a 1-prizer, and he didn't bench Squawk turn 1, which would have been okay if he did. I don't know if he could have, but if he did, it would have been okay because I start Curum on the board. And the only Curum line that Reggie Drago has access to is double Curum, Mew, Squawk, Fez, or any combination of those 3, 2 of those 3 with an Ogre Pawn, as long as the Ogre Pawn's inactive both times. And I don't think he benched Mew all game either. So like I just wasn't going to be using Curum anyways. So he does his thing. He gets a turn 1 setup. I get like a turn 1 setup. Both looking pretty fine. His turn 2, he V-stars his turn 2, I believe, so that he can get a Curum play. And he goes Curum on my Mew and both of my Reggie Drago V-stars. Which is not a bad play because then he could just Phantom Dive my 2 V-stars and put all the damage on the Mew and still take 6 prize cards and 3 attacks, that's very good idea, but he used his V-star in order to facilitate that play to get the second energy switch. So I was kind of able to just Rolling Iron stall him and just keep his fat Reggie Dragos with no energies in the active and just keep swinging. And so I was able to take the win on that. And I feel like I played that matchup pretty good, but I did actually learn Curum to Polt. That's actually something to take note of. I've never actually thought of that play before. That's pretty good. Let's see. And then, so 3-1, I go against Blake. He's playing Lost Box. Shout outs to Blake. And we have a very close game. He wins the dice roll. He chooses first. I was able to Cleffa turn 1, going second with a pretty standard board, feeling good about myself. He fucking lost. He Mirage Gates to his Comfey in the active and spinning attacks to take 1 prize. And he uses his Psychic and Water energy to do it. He uses 1 Psychic, 1 Water. I don't know his deck list, but and spinning attack just does 30 damage, and I was like, what the fuck? Who does that? But taking the prizes was just good there. I guess he couldn't get access to like Cram or something. And so he does that. And on my second turn, I remember I Phantom Dive, but I bundle away his current Comfey with 2 energies on it. And this is a decision I don't know if it's correct. I don't know if it's correct to remove the energies from the board so that Comfey doesn't get good, like, free retreats, essentially. But also, the reason why I kept them on the board was just, like, if he has them in his discard pile, he could Super Rod them into the deck or whatever, and he could conceal cards with those energies, because those energies he wants to conceal cards. So I figured it as denying him 4 card draw later, but he was able to conceal cards anyways with other energies. and he would never super rod the water and psychic back because he's trying to attack with Topaz Bolt. So in hindsight, I think it's better to just kill the Comfey and remove those energies and remove the ability for free retreats. He ended up getting the escape board anyway, so that didn't really matter too much, because it would have just been the same thing. But if I got rid of that and lost vacuum to skateboard, then we would be cooking, I think. But anyways, he goes Topaz Bolt because I Phantom Dive, and like fair enough. And then I get a second Regidrago. I cancel in Cologne, Phantom Dive, and I kill his. I think I kill a Comfey and I take 3 prizes. So now I'm down to 2, and he's down to 3. And then he Topaz Bolts again. He's down to 1. And then I hit it one. I Iono him super low, and I hit him once with an Ogerpon. Hit his Pikachu with the Ogerpon, and then he retreats. He switch cards to the Pikachu, and then I only have 5 cards in deck, and the Pokestop on board. He passes. He doesn't get an attack off, and I only have 5 cards in deck, and I like Mew and Pokestop into Prime Catcher, pull up the Pikachu, hit again with Ogerpon, take my last 2. Skin of my teeth type thing. And then round 6, now it would have been a Dragomir, but both me and Herman, I'm not sure pronouncing that. I know the G's and H, but I think there's something else about the name that I'm forgetting. And we're both 4-1, and it's whatever. And we both agreed to ID. And at the end of that, at that point, I was 2nd rank in Swiss. And I think that also means that I was 2nd going into top cut, but I didn't see what that looked like because I went and had dinner. I come back for quarters for top 8. Deck check went fine. And I play against George. George's Thorns Pult list. And same thing that happened with Frank. I win the dice roll. I choose 2nd because if they're forced to go first, which really sucks for them, if they're forced to go first, they just have to. They don't have to, but they really should put down the Dreepy if they start Thorns. And that's what he did. But he didn't put down the 2nd Thorns. So I was able to bundle the Thorns out of the active, have a regular ass like Squawkabilly, Teal Dancing like turn 1, into a Cleffa draw. And then he doesn't attack game 2 or turn 2. He's drawing pretty bad this game. And so he just draws bad. And so I just kind of walk over him that game. Second game, though, he was able to pull off a nice like Phantom Dive combo in the late game. And he chose 2nd, obviously, and he went Trolley Evo. And when he just got his Dracloaks up, he was cooking. And he was able to get his Dragapult attacking with his Rad Sam, and I just got so far behind I just couldn't do anything. But then in game 3, kind of the same thing happened as game 1, where I chose to go 2nd. I get a normal board set up, and I kind of just bam. Actually, no. It was just 2 wins. Bruh. And then in semis, I played Douglas, and he was playing Drago with the Radzard, standard Brent Tarnison list. He was playing the Noivern 2 for the Cloth matchup, I presume. He decided to go first. He won the dice roll game 1, and he lost game 1, so he decided to go first game 2. Because he was saying it was optimal, and I wasn't going to correct him then, but it's not optimal to go first in the Drago Mirror. You want to save your V-Star. And the best way to do that is to push Cleffa. Just push Cleffa. Just Grasping Draw on your first turn, force your opponent to do something about it, and that's the way you're supposed to play the deck. And that's what he did. that's what he tried to do for the rest of the game. He either V-starred early to ensure a turn 2 attack, in which case I was able to just chase him off the board, run him off the board, um, or he just wasn't drawing properly. There was a point where he went like 30 cards deep and didn't see a single draw supporter. Very poor demonstration of both his skills and Regidrago as a deck. Just very poor circumstances. And his prize guys were pretty whack too. He prized like 3 energy in the first game. But yeah. And so I won both games against Douglas, and then I see Blake again in finals. And props to this guy. He's playing Lost Box in a room full of Regidragos, and he just like clutched it out the finals. And as you see, he can clutch out the whole tournament. First game, it was a standard board setup, but I just had to take one prize, and then he just Topaz bolt me, and then I just and then I kill him back, and then he Topaz bolts me again, and then he bears, and blah 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 blah. And then games 2 and 3, I start feeling super tired. Not trying to John here. Blake absolutely deserved the dub. This is a failing on my end. I need more practice, like playing Pokemon for long periods of time. Because that was about 8 hours straight of Pokemon. I was running a little low on sleep. And I just need to be able to, I don't know. I just need to be able to last longer when I play Pokemon, I guess. Because there was a couple instances where I would like retreat and switch at the wrong times, and I forgot the Lost Vacuum is Pokestop when he already had like 10 in the Lost Zone, so it didn't really matter for anything. And then he hit the nuts off that Pokestop next turn, and I'm like fucking ugh. This second game though, it was a pretty standard game. He Topaz bolted my Regidrago, and I didn't have a backup, but I did have Mew, so I manual attached to Mew and then double energy switch to it, and then play canceling clone, and I used Mew to Topaz bolt his Pikachu, and oh my god, it's better than heroin. Oh my god, that felt so good. And I put a Regidrago V down that play, and that turn, and then the next turn I just V-starred for literally just Kyurem canceling clone, because I had boss in hand, so I just boss up his Manaphy, bench the Kyurem, retreat in the Kyurem, attack like energy switch over to Kyurem, and then just take 3 prizes and win. Like this matchup, I played it pretty poorly because Regidrago is obviously your best attacker in the deck, and I don't think I declared Rolling Iron once this whole set. And now that Lost Box has like ways to one-shot Regidrago with Pikachu that demands a canceling clone, it's like if you're just taking one prize, don't even set up the Dragapult. Just don't do it. Just Rolling Iron. Just to ensure that you can attack with Regidrago next turn, because then you could just cure next turn and take 4 or take 3. But yeah, I think a Halucha in the deck, which if you're playing it against Charizards and Miraidons and Dragapult and Gardevoirs, Halucha is a very good idea. And even in the mirror, Halucha is a very good idea. But putting Halucha on the Manaphy and then like putting down Lost City and then canceling Cologne the Pikachu, and then Phantom Dive to KO the Pikachu and the Manaphy, that's a crippling play. They don't have Manaphy for the rest of the game. They can't attack with Pikachu the rest of the game. So like if you are just like, oh my god, I need to make sure that I never lose a single game the Lost Box. First of all, play good. Second of all, put in Lost City. Third of all, put in a second canceling clone. Fourth of all, put in Halucha. Because then you just take two prizes off Phantom Dive, and then if you do that, like you're golden. Being able to kill Manaphy's that efficiently is just insane. But anyways, and then game 3, I lose because the actual lose condition that I met was I decked out because I had 1 card left in deck. I had 4 cards in hand, and one of them was Iono, and I played that Iono. And so and I had 4 prizes remaining, so I just drew 4 cards, and it had 0 in deck, and he just passed. So I just decked out. I didn't have to play the Iono. I was just thinking like I was so tunnel vision on just disrupting his hand because it's Lost Box and he only had like 2 prize cards left. I was like, I'm gonna put him down to 2. I'm gonna cure him this turn, which I was able to do, and he's not gonna be able to do shit. He needs to take 1 prize card, and his bear is gone, and I'm gonna kill his Cram, and I'm gonna kill his Sableye, and all he'll need is like bear, but he'll only have like 4 cards to pull it off. Um, but I just didn't Lost Vacuum the Pokestop, even though I could have, and I Iono'd myself to death because I played an Earthen Vessel that turn that I didn't need to because I should have already known what was in the deck. I didn't need to look, so I just like lost 2 cards in my rotation. If I didn't play those 2 cards, if I had Lost Vacuum the Pokestop, and if I could have, that would have facilitated the Iono play being okay, and then I would have been in a fucking phenomenal position to win the game. But that just wasn't the case. I fumbled, and it sucks. But yeah, the tournament population, there was like 8+ Dragos, there was a couple Goldengos, like 2 Dons, there was a Bird Control, 3 or more Zard, 3 like Ancient Box, 3 Cloth, 1 Lost Box in the whole room, I think, 1 Serena, and then like 2 or more Thornpolts. There might have been more Drago, but everybody was just on Drago. Which is like thank God, because I'm pretty sure I was the only one that played Bundle. So I was prepared for that shit. Um, everybody was playing Gudra, everybody was playing Executor, everybody was playing Noivern, and like Terra Orb, and maybe that's just the better way to go. But I'm not entirely convinced. Like Executor plus Iron Bundle seems really good because then you just force out the Clef and just like get 2 prices. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna save that for my Red 2 Drago video, my matchup spread. So look forward to that. And Jesus fucking Christ, this is 37 minutes. If you're still here, shout out, thank you. Leave a like if you want, subscribe if you want. I don't fucking know.